Hello everyone, this is Ayush and I'm your sole host for the day. Welcome to Techlitical. In today's episode, it's going to be a little different from our other episodes, and as in the fact that it's going to be a little casual because with me today I have two of my seniors as well as friends, Ujjwal, Ayyangar and Aalind Singh. So, hi guys. Why don't you tell the people about yourself? Let's start with you, Ujjwal.
Hi guys. So I'm Ujjwal and I'm a master's student at UMD Maryland. I'm studying software engineering and currently researching around the areas of programming languages and theory. I was a part of a Google developers group when I was in VIT, and I was lucky enough to work with some great and amazing bunch of people. So I guess, yeah, that's it.
Just one quick question. Does that include me? Okay, I think I got my answer. Okay, coming to you.
So since
Aalind,
this is a
you?
podcast, I guess I have to praise you, I guess. So I would say yes.
Yeah,
But
probably
yeah.
What about you, Aalind?
Hello everyone, I'm Aalind and I'm currently working in Singapore as a research engineer, and my area of interest lies in like natural language processing, machine learning, and currently I'm working on virtual assistants and humanoid robots, like for helping people out in various like genres of like healthcare. As for the communities, I was a part of Google Developers Group as Ujjwal was and as Ayush was when we were in VIT, and of course I was like not only in that, but I was a part of various other chapters where I contributed majorly to Google Developers Group, I'll say. And
So for the younger crowd out there, GDG VIT is what is currently known as DSC VIT. We all three of us were in VIT Velour and we studied together. Like I was the junior, but yeah, we've been good friends. Hopefully, I mean they keep on saying that, so I hope that's true.
it is of course. It is.
Okay, so moving on, guys, let's talk a little bit about what was your experience in India with in our community, GDGVIT specifically, because that's where I believe most of us spend the major chunk of our time in college, like as part of like any communities. Aalind, you were part of like other communities, so was I, but even I was like majorly involved with GDG most of the time. So, okay. I see you both laughing, but yeah, that's true. That's the truth. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what was your experience, Aalind? Like, what did you do in GDGVIT, or any stories you want to share?
Yeah, for sure. So initially, I was like, I joined GDG as a like a technical member, like a member of the technical team. So initially, I was working on web development projects and all the web stuff, back end, front end. Then I went into like project management roles, kind of like developing at the same time, like as time went, like after like I joined GDG when I was like in my first year, I think, and I was a part of it until my fourth year, like my graduation year. So yeah, from time to time, like my places were like from the technical member of the team to project management to like vice president of the club. So technical, of course. So yeah. But yeah, as you say, like what was my experience? So I'll say like technically it helped me in forms of the guide, like in form of guidance, which was provided by my seniors, I'll say. And as a whole also, I'll say, because when you're making a project and when you're showcasing it to the public, so there's kind of a different approach as to how you have to do it. But overall, the development was quite good in forms of the guidance. And of course, like, yeah, it was like a 360 development for me. So yeah, Ujjwal can tell you more maybe. Yeah.
That's a rather comprehensive answer. I don't know what else he can add now. But Ujjwal, your turn now.
So my story with DSC or GDG, it goes back even before my college experience started. So earlier, before me, there was this member in GDG called Shubhadeep. He was the tech head of the club, and he and we have been like childhood friends for a long time. We have been childhood friends, and so when I was in school, I used to like see he used to tell me about, hey, we are building these cool projects here in VIT and all that stuff, and that was like really cool for me at that time. Yeah. So when I came to VIT and I met Shubhadeep, and like there was in the first year you get to listen about so many chapters. There's ACM, there's GDG, there's tag, and like so on and so forth. And so I went to Shubhadeep and I asked him like, what's so special about GDG? And he said, like at its heart, we are just focused on building cool projects. We are not really we don't really care about uh, managing events and stuff. It was just like a place where you could meet a bunch of cool guys and program and code and build cool stuff together. So that is what attracted me towards TDG at the first. And then but he said that the recruitments are always a challenge, and it was like a personal challenge between both of us. So that was the other thing that attracted me. Okay, that I have some it's a personal challenge between friends. So and anyways, I joined GDG, and it was exactly like Shubhadeep told me it would be. There was like bunch of people. I felt like an imposter. I had this imposter syndrome from day one, because everyone knew so much and I knew so little. That's how I felt in the beginning. And but the good part was that everybody they were very welcoming, and whenever I had questions about anything, they would always help me out. I could message my seniors even at 3 a.m. at night, and they would still respond to me, and that was really cool for me. So I didn't know much about a lot of things. I didn't know about web. I came through. So we had different tracks in recruitment. So mine was DSA. I had some good background in data structures and algorithms, so that is how I came. And I didn't know much about development side of the things, but like I said, my seniors were very welcoming, and they always appreciated whenever I asked them questions. So that's how my journey started, and then it went on to I ended up working on some cool projects with some of them seniors. Then we conducted great technical workshop for students, which was really cool for me. There was project I had an experience of managing when you guys came juniors. It was a very interesting experience, managing you and like walking you through to towards your perhaps giving you some guidance, and that was very interesting for me at that. And somewhere along the lines, GDG kind of became a part of a major part of my college experience. I mean, with time I became a tech head and stuff, and that was good, but at its heart it was the community and the experience that I really cherish, and I think that was really beautiful.
True. On top of that, I'll say
okay, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, Ujjwal tell how he got into the how he came to know about Google Developers Group or DSC. So initially I was when I was in first year, they used to have these talks. So there was no Dev Fest or anything, hackathons or nothing, but they have these talks. So I think I took part in one, and I came to know Google supported it. So I was yeah, that's quite cool, because no other club or something had someone to support a big name attached to it. So I was maybe you can say I was quite naive. So I thought Google is doing it, so yeah, maybe this is cool. And then when I got to know their projects and what they were doing, so it appeared to me they were doing quite cool stuff. So yeah, I wanted to join it. So I applied first time, but I didn't get in the first time. Then I have to, because the technical round is quite tough, I'll say, because you have to develop projects, and then you have to show them, and then there are interviews, and then there's this written round or something. So you have this 3-stage process, which is quite complex, but it ensures you have the right people to do the job. So yeah, the the number of people is less, but you have quality. So I'll say that's a good thing. You have quality over quantity. And yeah, then second time I went through the interview process, I applied for web development, and then the second time I got through it, and then the journey began. Yeah, so that's it.
Like
I would like to add
have
to
gone
that.
through the
Like,
same thing.
wanted to make a small addition to that. Like, he mentioned that Google was something that attracted to him towards like the group in the beginning, and I would say like it was same for me, because like when we joined like college, Google was, I think it's still a pretty big name that attracts towards a club. But I think we both found after some time that the club was more than just Google was there, but it was not what defined the club.
Definitely. So like I agree with like all the points. Obviously, I'll just like comb through some of the points that you guys talked about. So the first of all being the technical round being difficult, like I faced that personally, and yeah, it was daunting. I remember walking into the written round room, and then there was this other guy called Ujjwal Verma, who unfortunately could not make it to this podcast today. So he asked me, which paper do you want, and I told him all of them. And he was shocked for a moment.
Oh shit.
Okay.
Oh shit.
I had a similar experience. I
Is
had
this
a
guy
similar.
is this guy really stupid or is this guy really smart?
Yeah.
Then I did all of them. I remember I was
I
I
hope
did
you
a
were
bit
smart.
of research. Yeah, I did get in, so I believe I was smart. Hopefully.
Yeah.
So coming to Ujjwal's point of the imposter syndrome thing, yeah, the day I walked into the meeting room for the first time, we call it a meeting, but it's more of a free space for everyone to learn tech and just be themselves, I guess. I know there's no, unlike most other clubs which focus on say web development because of events and all, so web development or like general app development stuff, because that's what gets the crowd in a way that you can talk about. But GDG does a lot of fringe stuff. Like I remember I knew Python scripting, and they gave me free rein. Okay, like you can do stuff with Python also. You don't necessarily have to switch to web development now to be a part of a productive part of a club or a chapter or something like that. And that was really cool for me. So I built a project which at that time I found a little boring. It was a GUI thing, but as it turns out, right now that first year project that I wrote is still being contributed to from people all around the globe, and that makes me feel really cool that GDG, even though it has the name Google attached to it, and that obviously adds a lot of weight. I still have it in my profile for sure. But the fact that I was able to write something that people still look into, contribute code to, and my juniors look at it, like even the new kids from college look at it, and they find it fascinating, is something really cool to think about. So that was obviously definitely what like combining both of Ujjwal's and Alinds point, that it was really exhilarating to find that okay, writing code is not supposed to be boring. It's actually interesting, and there's not just web development or app development. There's machine learning, there's security, and even in web development you could do so much more than just writing front end code with HTML and CSS and so many more things. So because of that diversity, I was exposed to a lot more tech than I believe I would have been if I was not part of that club. So yeah, that's definitely to like a point there. And I believe with good communities, this is a point to be taken into consideration. Like any community that kind of restricts you does not necessarily becomes a community. Like I see Aalind, you want to add something to that?
Yeah. Like of course, like the point of a community is like you're kind of like in a free environment and you can do like whatever you want. So like for example, like I joined like in as like a front-end developer, I'll say initially, but yeah, then I got into research. So then I predominantly worked in natural language processing and machine learning. So yeah, no one was like that, oh yeah, you cannot do that because it doesn't give output that fast as you can see in like front-end development or like making stuff. But yeah, like this machine learning and natural language processing like is more of like kind of a research role. But yeah, like I was supported in that also, and like I can do stuff, I build projects in that. So that's kind of cool because yeah, like you have people in every domain who can support you, like it, because initially you also don't know like where you want to go into, so you try to step into every domain and then you see and then you pick like what is the thing that suits you more or what gets you going, rather than like I'm just like I joined as a web developer, I'll just do web. That's like kind of like a you're restricting yourself. You should rather be like,
Definitely.
I should try more things and get to know more people, what cool stuff they're doing, and then whichever suits me the most and whichever I'm interested in the most, I'll get into it. So I think that's what happened to me, because now like I'm heavily invested into machine learning. Yeah.
Definitely. Like I remember Ujjwal being one of the few people I knew who were doing Go, before it was cool. I mean, like now it's pretty mainstream. Like everyone's like, I'm learning Go or I'm learning Rust. But at that point, I was not really aware of Go, to be honest. And then we talked about briefly about some random API that he had built for some scraping, and the difference between when he did it with, say, Python, and then when he did it for the same thing with like Go, and it was like a few minutes worth of time, and like that was like really amazing. Like adding numerical statistics and like seeing live results, because Ujjwal had built it. It was not theoretical things that we were talking about, or the projects that we did do in DSC are actually cool because it's something from scratch and people are learning alongside. It's not just because the projects themselves are cool, but also the fact that most of the projects are built by people who are kind of starting out in that tech space. So for me, I did not really do GUI development, or let's say Aalind said machine learning. So he did not really had that experience with machine learning when he started. But the fact that we had a wide variety of people doing all sorts of things, like he got support, I got support. I remember bricking my machine. So I had like a interest in cybersecurity always. I am a cybersecurity professional now. But at that point, I did the cardinal mistake of using Kali as my main machine. And one of the features, I would say, rather than a bug of Kali, is that it breaks itself randomly for no reason at all. And Ujjwal, Aalind, Verma, at times, we would just sit like for hours trying to fix my laptop, and I think I've learned more Linux by fixing my laptop because it broke very often than I have actually through courses and development perhaps. But yeah,
to add to that, I remember like every meeting used to start with Ayush Priya sitting at the back of the class and like his head down, and whenever like we enter, he's looking at us with those like shining eyes, and he's like, please help me. This like, because there was every day he had some new problem with that Kali Linux every day, and we got to learn a lot because of that as well. That was really cool.
It was all part of the plan. We can say that now. We can say that. Let's call it that.
Plan
for all of us learning Linux together. Okay, it was a team bonding exercise.
I see.
So yeah, I mean, like it was fun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like you guys said, like there was always no pressure to focus on just one domain, and I think that was like one of the most attractive part, because you mentioned I used to do Go, right? And like when I started doing Go and I like told my friends about it, they were like, yeah, but no one is using it. But when I went to GDG and I told some of my seniors that, hey, I like this programming language called Go and I want to do it, and they were like, yeah, you should try it. So that was the attitude. That difference in attitude made a lot of big part. And along the lines, so when I started GDG, I mean, I had some good base in programming, but I was not specified to just one domain. So like I was given work to develop a small GUI app, so I did that. Then there was a small web portal, I did that. But eventually I ended up going along the lines of programming languages, how they are built from compilation, lexer, parser, and all those things. And there was always encouragement from my seniors in that direction. So I remember in my third year when I said that I am not really interested in developing softwares anymore. I'm more interested in building things from the ground up, from the programming languages perspective. And they really appreciated that. And it's because of that encouragement that I received those 2-3 years back. I am where I am now, because I am at the moment studying and researching on programming languages, the theory and how they are built from the ground up. And I think if I didn't have that support, maybe this was not possible. I wouldn't have been able to be where I am right now.
I would definitely second that. Okay, let's move on a little bit now that we have like spent our years and we have moved on from like bachelor's, at least like for Ujjwal he's still studying. That's like a running inside joke that we have. But so Ujjwal, like why don't we talk about we've talked in detail about how we spend our time in GDG and how it was like a very bonding experience, a learning experience, and we made really cool friends around that, right? I'm still in touch with you guys, and like I'm not coercing you to say that we still talk at every now and then. So the fact that you've like moved on to some doing some other stuff, and there definitely that you must have met like-minded people there as well. So how's your experience like outside of GDG now? That how are you coping with that, and how do you find time to like maybe be a part of the community, or maybe look at the communities that you are not necessarily a part of, and how do they function? Like let's start with Aalind. What about you?
How about Ujjwal start first, then I'll come to it. Yeah. Right.
Okay. Well,
Okay,
let's
so
start with you, Ujjwal.
yeah, so I mean, I am not as involved in chapters and communities as I was in when I was in undergrad, because now I'm more deep down into research, and I'm also planning to do a PhD. So the communities that I interact with are generally like research groups. I know you guys are laughing whenever I mention PhD, but guys, it's cool. I'm telling you. So.
No, it's cool.
Dr. Ujjwal Ayyangar in the house.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll.
Dr. Ujjwal Ayyangar.
Okay.
Resisting the temptation to make jokes. Okay, so yeah, so in that sense, like research groups, I can tell you a bit about how they function. So we generally have like readings every week where we go through research papers, interesting and new research papers, and like discuss about them, discuss our perspective about that. And so right now it's because now since there is pandemic, we cannot meet in person, so most of them are like on Zoom meetings. I do know know about how the chapters are functioning in pandemic, like some of the undergrad chapters. So there are a lot of clubs like there's a club for there's an ACM here in UMD as well, and they focus more on the competitive programming side of the things. They have teams like preparing for ACM ICPC, and then there are like clubs dedicated just to hackathons. There's like equals hackathon club, and there's a gaming developer club. And right now how they function is they generally have Zoom meetings like every week. They'll probably decide a time like, okay, 6:30 p.m. we are going to meet, and we are going to like decide on okay what all projects you guys are working on, and we'll have a Slack channel and we'll keep you updated about it. So pandemic has really like changed a lot of it. I think what was going on before, there are no like in class meetings anymore. So I imagine it must be the same in DSC right now as well, because I think you guys are also managing through Zoom and Slack, and so yeah, it's pretty similar here. But I mean,
if I may stop you there, like the one thing that I kind of noticed that we at GDG, and I'm guessing most other CS clubs in like generally Indian colleges, I think we do a lot of stuff combined. Like a club itself can do multiple things, not just websites, apps, or like some specific club. But you're talking about like there's a specific game development club, and then there's one for hackathons, and then there's one for whatever the other thing was. So it's like they're more targeted. ICBC, right? So ACM, yeah. These guys focus on competitive coding. So basically, I would like the only thing that I'm getting out from this is they kind of function in a similar way. The only difference being that they're more specific. So each club like has their own thing to do. And so is
yeah,
that
I would
like,
say they are more targeted in that sense. I know, I mean, I have not really explored them properly. There might be some
Right.
clubs where which do a lot of these things like we used to do, but most of the sense that I have is like it's more targeted here, more directed towards something.
even inside of those clubs, so like the members are like kind of focused on doing that one thing? I believe that because they obviously know before joining that, okay, say ACM is for competitive coding, so if I join them I'm supposed to do competitive coding. So in that sense they are not exactly restricted, because that's the kind of motto of that particular club or chapter. But then they do just a specific thing, and if the guy wants to switch, he probably has to find a new club or something like that.
Yeah, you could say that, because like there's, for example, if I remember you were interested in cybersecurity, right? But you didn't join
I am.
you are interested, so you didn't like, there wasn't necessarily a different, just a cybersecurity focused club in
Club.
VIT, but here they
Right.
have a different cybersecurity club, and so it's more like, okay, if you are interested in Android and cybersecurity, so you'll join a club that does Android and does cybersecurity. So you'll maybe join two clubs. But of course, I'll say that again, I might be wrong since I have not explored enough. But that is the general idea that I get, because there's a Linux users group, so I imagine it's just Linux. But computer science to me is like there are a lot of things to explore, and you cannot just be stuck at one thing. So in that sense, I like GD a lot more, because like there's so many different things going on at the same time, and so many different perspectives from different domains that helps a lot.
Got
So
it.
that's
Got
one
it.
of the difference, and yeah, that's what
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aalind, are you ready with your answer now, or should we give you a few more minutes?
No. I'm ready. Yeah. So yeah, like I'll tell you about my experience, like how it has been. Because in Singapore, when I first came, I came as a research intern, summer research intern at Computational Intelligence Lab at NTU. So most of my friends have been PhDs. So after this, like for my second internship also, I worked with PhD. So yeah, but now as I'm working as a professional now, I'll say like the clubs that are functioning here are more of like, if in a professional space, it's more of like everything. Like there's a club. It's not a club. It's a initiative by government of Singapore. It's named as SG Innovate. So what happens is like it focuses at deep tech startups and whatever new tech is coming into the industry, whether it's
Mhm.
coming through like for health tech or it's coming for fintech or mostly on fintech. But yeah, everything maybe on social robotics or autonomous vehicles or whatever. So they try to bring in people, whoever are the experts, and they give on talks. So they're on, like, you can connect with people, tell them what you're doing, or if you are even interested, you can like catch up with them and like work with them afterwards. So it's more of like a community thing. I won't say it is like a club thing like we had in universities where like you actually go and learn the things. But yeah, it's more of like head to head, like as to you get to know about the thing, and if your interests are aligned with them, you can just catch on up with them and like try to work on with them. So it's more of like a professional community, I'll say.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that's
And
like a
adding to that a bit, just
sure.
like a small thing. So one more difference I have seen here is, so like we have clubs in VIT and clubs in chapters. If you wanted to work on something cool, we generally have them. Like a similar example here would be the research groups. So for example, if you wanted to work in programming languages, you would have a plum, that is programming languages in University of Maryland group. If you want to work in linguistic, they have this clip lab. So there are a lot of labs, and like maybe if I was doing my undergrad here, I would have been more attracted to these research groups than clubs, because you get
Got
to
it.
I think
Okay.
you can work more on cool projects in these labs, because
Okay.
the professors are very involved with the students here.
Okay, understood. Okay, got it. That's kind of very stark differences. Like if you think about it in terms of like communities or clubs or chapters, whatever you want to call it. We believe for us, I think GDG was a community because we all of us stuck together and we did a lot of there was no restrictions per se, and it was an open community at the end of the day. Even though there were recruitments, it was just to get quality, and then because we wanted like people to do projects and not just stay there, we did do talks for like a bunch of people who wanted to learn and were not, let's say, acquainted with tech yet, and that's what we did for them. We did a lot of community projects and like talks or events or hackathons for them to just start out, and we did give out mentorship as well. But yeah, as we talk about clubs, I think the word club as in its definition is more profoundly used in the clubs that you guys have outside than it's used here. I mean, I think it's more loose here, that any group of people coming together to do something maybe called as a club, which might not necessarily be true. It could also be a community. There's a bit of a difference there. But yeah,
Yep,
like
true.
still, like talking about what Alan said, that's a very cool initiative, I guess. Actually, it's pretty cool, to be honest. As well as the fact that research groups or like specific domain groups, like at least for someone who knows what they want to do, I think targeted clubs or domains or like communities that focus on specifically that would definitely help someone who already knows what he wants to do. But like for someone who's trying to find his way and trying to get into tech and does not necessarily know everything that goes around. I mean, I still don't know everything that goes around in security itself. So, I mean, it does take a bit of time to get acquainted with all the things that you are exposed to when you go to undergrad or when you do masters or even when you go to professional life. There's always new things to learn and new things that come to light, and you feel that you might have missed out on something. So open communities definitely help with that, and I guess research communities or research groups that Ujjwal talked about are the way to go about doing that. Aalind, did you have something similar in NTU when you were pursuing your research stuff?
I'll say like when I was pursuing my research stuff, so we had like I had a team, like I told you about my lab, right? I worked in two
Yes.
labs, like one was like computational intelligence lab and another was like Institute for Media Innovation. So
Right.
I had like, I'll say like it's not a club, but yeah, like the community there is like a club. So I did, because I was so much into the research, like I had quite a less time. I had to be there and like produce results. So I was more invested for my research work rather than joining club. But yeah, I didn't try to join clubs, but yeah, I joined clubs like shooting clubs and all that. Yeah. So,
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's a thing of interest.
yeah.
Sure.
But this is a stark difference, I'll say, between the professional and the undergraduate life or whatever graduate life or PhD life, whatever you are going through. But yeah, like
That's a jab at Ujjwal, I think. But yeah.
yeah. I said graduate life because I have to include him. Yeah. So,
yeah.
yeah. So I want to say that like when you are in a professional life, the clubs, it's not a club, it's like a private organization which tries to bring in people which are like heavily, like they know what they are doing, and they try to influence you as in like what are the new ideas, because when you are going there you already knew what you are into. You are not finding yourself. You are not finding yourself that time. So you already know, oh, okay, I'm interested in social robotics and how it is being applied into healthcare. So I'll go into that talk and I'll try to communicate with the people, with the crowd that are there, and try to get the new ideas, try to tell them what I'm doing, and if we are interested, maybe we can catch up or maybe we can work together, something like that. But when I am in a university setting, it's more of like what I want to do afterwards. So it has to be like an open community where I go in and learn things and where I explore stuff, rather than in a professional setting like where I already know what I want to do and I go into that specific stuff to learn about it only. So that's the biggest difference between a professional and a university setting. I'll say that.
I think that's a very good point, and that that is why that explains a lot about our experience, why we are not getting as much time, like why we are not exploring as much as we used to do in undergrad. That's why we don't have that much. That's why I said I don't have that much experience anymore with how the student life here is. But I remember, so we used to have 2 credit courses, right, in VIT, where the clubs and people from clubs and chapters used to teach. So they have something similar here as in UMD as well. They call it STICS. So STICS stand for Student Initiated Classroom. So that is something like, if any student wants to teach up, say, Flask in Python, so he'll have to prepare a course material and stuff, and he can submit that up for 2 credits, and then he can be allowed to teach those 2 students. So that is something similar that they have here as well. And I think this was I always found this to be very cool in VIT, this opportunity, this 2 credit courses, because I mean, you learn more from teaching. So I used to like that experience as well.
So for the people who don't know what a 2 credit course or what Ujjwal just talked about here in VIT. So in VIT, we have a provision for all clubs and chapters that they are allowed to create a course of sorts that goes for the course 2 semesters. And that will be considered, so for whoever takes up that course, it will be taught by the community members or the club members, the students essentially, and that will be constituted for 2 credits for the whole credit requirement for a engineering grad that we have. So yeah, that's what he was talking about, similar stuff in UMD that he's working at right now. So yeah, even as for the 2 credit courses, I remember my first workshop was a 2 credit workshop that I had to take with a night's notice. I was told in the previous The day I had to take the workshop, the previous night in the our night community meeting in GDG, I was told by Ujjwal that, hey, you know what? Tomorrow you have a workshop. Prepare slides, man. So I was like, wait, what? I've never done this before. I have just started off. And it was really stressful. I was really stressed out, but it turned out to be good. At least for me, I had learning experience. I'm not so sure about the guys who I taught. I mean, they'll be the judge of that. But yeah, it was a really cool experience. And then I really got this opportunity. I actually went ahead and like took a bunch of other workshops. It was kind of a series, and I learned a lot. Like I actually opened up and like became more confident of what I knew, because I was able to teach and answer questions from the random people in the crowd. Like, hey, oh, I do know this because I was able to answer, which is like a very big confidence booster for people who are like literally just starting out in tech or like trying out something new. So that's definitely one thing that, I mean, even if it's not something that your college supports, like 2 credit courses might not be a thing for all colleges, specifically in India. I don't believe that there's a norm here right now. But definitely you can teach or take workshops, random workshops, or you could go and talk about things in conferences. I see a lot of conferences taking up students now, very openly and wholeheartedly, that they can go and like present talks on stuff, even if it's not a hands-on thing. So that definitely gets you a lot of confidence, as well as some presence in your domain or your community, that people do come to know that, okay, this guy is actually working, and then they reach out to you, if maybe for a job opportunity or a research opportunity, or at the least you get to know some legit people in that particular domain, so you can go forward with whatever you want to do in life. So I mean, we kind of covered a lot of stuff here, right, guys? I mean, we talked about what we did in GDG, we had a few stories here and there, and we talked about how communities work outside. So I mean, you guys went different ways, right? I am working in India as a professional. Aalind is working as a professional abroad, and then we have Ujjwal who's still studying abroad. So
no, you should frame it differently. Like, he's not only studying, he's studying like what? Like professional studies? Maybe you can say like what? Ujjwal, exaggerate on it a bit.
So
don't let him say like you are just studying. You are just studying.
Before I do that, I will, like, if you guys are thinking, wow, Aalind is being so supportive, so the reason is that he's also planning to study.
No, that's not the reason. That's not the entire reason. No,
I'm not.
I'm sure, Aalind.
The only stereotype that, like, why I'm saying that is there's a reason for it. Like, why I'm saying is like because when people are doing PhDs, right? So people say like they have a stereotype about it, like, oh, PhD is like just like they're studying, like they're doing. I don't know, like, because they actually don't know what a PhD is and what the people are doing. You're not only studying when you're doing a PhD, okay? You are making something, you are exploring something new that has not been done by other people in that domain, and that is treated as a job. That is not treated as like you are studying. Studying is something that is already been done and you are learning about that subject, okay? You are creating your own thing. So that's like you're in some way you can say like you're creating your own subtopic in a subject which other people will study, okay? Exactly. So it's like a job. You are getting paid for it, and it's not like you are studying. You are like contributing to the research community and contributing to the society as a whole. So graduate studies, whether it is master's or whether it is PhD or whether it is postgraduate, it's not just like you are studying or whatever. Postgraduate is of course a job, but yeah, whatever it is. So it's more of like contributing to the society and learn and taking out something new, like taking out as in like
definitely
bringing something new.
I'll just chime in here, and like for our listeners, when we say like Ujjwal is studying or we take a jab at him or like make a little bit,
that's always obviously yeah.
That's from a context of us being friends and we just like making like jokes amongst ourselves. It's not the fact that doing masters is wrong or doing PhD is wrong. That's making it really clear. To add on to Alind's point, say for example, everyone has their way of pursuing things, right? I would prefer learning things on the job. So I'm working right now, and some people do want to like do some research, and research is not necessarily something that you can do on your job unless maybe you're in the R&D department or something like that, because typically what you learn on a professional path, it would be something that your business kind of aligns with, right? Whereas in research, you have some sort of a free reign to try out things as well as talk to your professor, and then you have a bunch of people to collaborate with specifically to find new things.
Exactly.
That's what research means. I mean, you
that
still
is
have
what
cutting edge in
attracted me.
technology. Yes.
That's
But-
why I wanted to do focus on go forward with the academic career, because I saw that I have the freedom that I want. I have that over here. Some people find that in jobs, like you said, but I found my comfort level and my freedom here in academics, where I could just pick up anything and I could just dig deep down and try to understand things from the fundamentals. So I like doing that, and that is why I'm
Definitely.
choosing an academic
It's
career.
rather subjective. I mean, nobody can give you a one-shot answer for whether I should pursue a job or higher studies.
Yeah, do
So
what you feel like. Do what
exactly.
feels right to you. I mean, don't. There will be people who will tell you, "Hey, don't go for a job, do a PhD." I'll say they are wrong, and there will be people who will say, "Hey, don't do a PhD, go for a job," and they'll be wrong as well, because only you know yourself and make a decision based on what you feel is right. So that is, I think, really important. Listen to everyone, but do what it is.
Yeah,
what
adding
feels right to you.
just to that point, I listened to everyone in my family to go pursue biology for being a doctor, and then I chose engineering. So you definitely go with what Ujjwal right now said.
No,
So yeah,
what did you?
that was a joke. That was a joke, Aalind. I did not mean it
No.
seriously.
No.
Actually, Alinds has a very same.
No,
Oh,
I'm
is it?
saying, what I have a
Similar experience.
Similar experience, because your family is also coming from a family of doctors, and you are doing an
Oh, no.
engineering.
My family does not have a lot of doctors. They have a lot of lawyers.
But indirectly you spoke about his experience.
Maybe I was talking about Aalind. Wink, wink.
But why I focused on that point, it was not because of Ayush Priya, because recently I was going on Twitter and people were saying out stuff on this topic only. So I was like, yeah, more people don't know what actually a PhD is, and then they try to comment on it. So which is not good. And
Right.
On a whole, if you see graduate application and graduate studies are more of you first figure out yourself. It's not about you are doing a job or you want to go for a graduate study. It's about when you are confident in a subject or you want to pursue that thing, then you go for graduate studies. Otherwise, you try to do you try to be in a professional setting and try to find out what your passion is, because graduate studies is both an investment of your time and your money.
So I guess we covered a lot of ground today, guys. I mean, we talked about a lot of stuff, and our time, all of us together in the community here in VIT, GDG, and then these guys, their experiences with communities or clubs or whatever in their abroad scenario, where Aalind talked about different stuff that the government is doing, and Ujjwal talked about research groups and other domain-specific clubs and chapters there in his college. So. With that, I guess.
Hey Ayush, why don't we try something different this time? Why don't you let us end this episode for you?
Sure, guys. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you guys for listening to our podcast, Techlitical, and these guys are working quite hard and very good for providing something to the community. So thanks for listening to us, and follow us on Instagram and follow our podcast, and maybe you can follow us on Insta handles. So see you guys next time.
Thank you.
There's
Thank
one
you so
good
much,
thing.
guys.
There's one good thing. I like how he said us and not them. That tells everything, actually.
Yeah. So all of us are really good friends, and this podcast belongs to all of us. So that's perfectly fine, Aalind. And thank you guys for joining us today and spending your time and your evening with me for this podcast. So yeah, with that, I guess we'll end this, and thank you, Aalind, for the end note, which was not the end note apparently. So I guess we'll stop here now. See you guys next time.